All right, so the review, it's only 6 questions, and we got 2 days to do it. My suggestion would be do all of it today. It's only 6 questions. That way tomorrow you can come in with questions. I would say there is a major red flag caution on this, and that is this review does not have any side angle problems, meaning there's no ambiguous case problems. So, I mean, it's a nice review because it's got some good practice problems, but there's not an ambiguous case problem. So tomorrow for warm-ups, I'll just warn you now, we'll do an ambiguous case problem to help cover that. But if you're one of those people that thinks the review is all that you ever need to know for what's on the test, that would not be the case this time. So there's some good problems. It's, what's there is good, it's just not complete. So be careful with that. Make sure in fact, I'd suggest go back and looking at some of those ambiguous case problems. But we'll do one as a review tomorrow just to make sure we remember. I mean, the only thing you got to remember is 180 minus the first answer gets you the second answer, and then away you go with 2 triangles, possibly. All right, let's do number 1 and number 5 together. Solve the triangle, round to 3 decimal places. Let's see, I got 3 side links. Again, you could do these without a picture. I don't know. I think it's obviously easier to visualize if you draw, but I think it helps me keep up with what I know, what case it is. I think it's worth it to draw the picture. If you can pull it off without a picture, I'm not going to take off. I also might give some partial credit, though, if your picture was correct, but nothing else was right. So it's a chance for some easy points anyway. Law of sines or law of cosines for this one? Cosines, because I don't have any angle side pairs. So I'm going to have to do law of cosines for 2 angles, and then I can just do 180 minus for that last one. Doesn't matter which one we do first. I'll pick the big one first, so let's find angle C. So 80 squared equals the other 2, 45 squared plus 62 squared minus 2, 45, 62, cosine of angle C. Feeling confident since we just did one of these law of cosines problems. I'll try to go from there on the calculator. Life on the edge here. But again, if you're not comfortable going straight to the calculator from that spot, that's completely okay. It might be wise to write out the algebra step and then go to the calculator. But if you feel good about doing the algebra and calculator sort of all in one, go for it. I do need to see this step though. So like when you're doing the test, don't just say, "Oh, I can do it all in the calculator." I mean, maybe you can, but I need to see some work. So at least give me the setup step, and if you want to jump to the calculator from there, that's fine. But I do need to see the setup step. So 95.46. Are you in radians versus degrees? So if you get, then it's a good check. If you get a weird answer, it's probably because you're in radians versus degrees, although it could be that you put in something wrong. I'm going to do angle B next just because I don't know, it doesn't matter which one you do next. 45 squared equals the other 2. Again, my hope is that you know law of sines and law of cosines so well that you're not reliant on notes and you're not reliant on, well, who's A and who's A. You just understand that across from each other is the key, and then you could write the equation regardless of what the letters are. Inverse cosine 54.052. And I guess if you really wanted to go all out, you could do law of cosines for angle A, and then make sure they added the 180. Most people aren't going to do that. They're just going to subtract from 180. And, you can scroll up and use the values that are already there. 50.487. Questions on that one? All right, I was going to do number... You know what? Let's do number 5. Because I think I know how it's going to happen. It is the same question. It's the same question we just did with different numbers. So let's pass on number 5. Let's go to number 6. In fact, you may remember number 6. We had an issue with this one earlier. We've seen it before. So, goodness, if we've seen it twice, that must say something of its relative importance. Pole tilts at an angle 9 degrees from the vertical away from the sun. It's like the last time we did this problem, it didn't have that, and we weren't sure if it was tilting toward the sun or away from the sun. I don't know if you remember that or not. But now we know that. So here's the sun. There's completely vertical. So we're 9 degrees off of that, but instead of leaning toward the sun, we're leaning away from the sun. Cast a shadow that's 24 feet long. So the shadow on the ground is 24 feet long. The angle of elevation. Okay, so that's when you're looking up and your eyes look up through an angle. That's angle of elevation. From, there's a lot of words here, the end of the pole's shadow. I'll just call it something, point A, from the end of the pole's shadow to the top of the pole, call that B, again, just to put letters on it, is 53 degrees. So to me, this problem's a little tricky to set up because you're measuring from vertical, which is a little bit weird. You know that you're measuring away from the sun rather than toward the sun. And then this angle of elevation. Although that's really the only spot you could have an angle of elevation from. But it does explain it carefully if you read it. Into the pole's shadow to the top of the pole. That angle we rotate through is 53. How long is the pole? All right, let's see. I'd like to use law of sines, but I don't think I can yet. In fact, I don't think I have enough information at all yet. What's this angle going to be? 81, because we're 9 off of 90. Oh, I think that's good. 46? 46, you say? I don't know, but I know how to get there. 180 minus the other two is 46. Now, do you want to do law of sines or law of cosines? Sine. Actually, you could do either one, since you know everything. Shaking your head. No, do law of sines. Which we'll do because we haven't done law of sines today. So, I'll ask it this way. If you want to use law of sines, which is the pair that signals that you can do it, that it'll work for this one? An angle side pair, the B stuff, yeah. So sine 46 over 24 equals, let's be colorful this morning, we're looking for L, and L is across from 53. So sine of 53 over L. And again, if you're feeling confident, because hey, we've done a bunch of these, I'm going to do it in the calculator straight away. That's fine. Again, now I'm cross multiplying and dividing. That's a lot of steps. I'm not nervous for me, I'm nervous for you. So I'm going to show that step at least. 24 sine 53 divided by sine of 46. Now I'm confident that that's the right algebra. So L is 26.6. Don't forget units of measure. It doesn't say how many decimals, so we'll go with 3. 646. And this was in feet. Alright, so despite what I've said previously about working odds and evens on separate days, it's only 6 questions. Do those today, then you can have questions tomorrow. Plus we'll do an ambiguous case tomorrow, and then we'll be set for the test on block day. Warm-ups on which day? We will have warm-ups tomorrow on the ambiguous case, since that's not on the review. But we probably will not have warm-ups on test day. Just to make sure. Well, it's a block day, so we'll have time. But we've already spent, feels like 400 days reviewing. So again, my recommendation, finish the review before you leave today, and then you're probably pretty close to being done studying for this test.